Amid chaos and conflict, where history's darkest hours unfolded, a creepy veil was cast over the battlegrounds. Unseen predators lurking beneath the surface, waiting to pounce with a hostility that defies imagination. The battlegrounds weren't just sprayed with bullets and bombs, but with something far more deceptive: hidden horrors lying in wait. In this video, we embark on a journey through the annals of the Second World War, where cunning minds design the most dangerous surprises. One of the most unexpected and extremely dangerous traps is the booby trap. Deceptive and deadly, it can be hidden in meals, doors, arms, and even lifeless forms. Join us as we unveil the stories behind these monstrous mechanisms, the minds that devised them, and the unfortunate souls who fell victim to their cruel embrace. Welcome to Pastflix. Anti-tank mines. In the tumultuous theater of World War II, a stealthy adversary emerged: the anti-tank mine. Unlike smaller mines, these were designed to shatter tanks and armored vehicles with their powerful explosions, triggered by the weight of vehicles or meddling hands. During this era, the Wehrmacht, the unified armed forces of Nazi Germany, devised a sinister variation: a mine with a hidden rod that rose subtly, waiting for a tank to pass. As tanks rolled over, the rod was nudged, igniting the mine and unleashing devastation. This innovation caused immense casualties, rendering tanks vulnerable and altering battlefield dynamics. The Wehrmacht deployed millions of mines, forming a formidable line of defense called the Atlantic Wall. These mines, along with their pressure-based triggers, wreaked havoc on Allied forces, crippling tanks and reshaping the course of battles. Different types of mines were used, including Teller mines, Rigel, and Topf mines. The anti-tank mines were like secret soldiers waiting in the ground. On the Western Front, these anti-tank traps proved brutally effective. They caused 20 to 22% of the tanks lost by the Allies, showing just how deadly they were. As the echoes of the anti-tank mine's devastating impact still reverberated on the battlefields of World War II, a new and equally sinister threat emerged: the fearsome Bouncing Betty. The German S-mine is a fearsome device known as the Bouncing Betty on the Western Front and Frog Mine on the Eastern Front. These bounding mines held a deadly secret. They leaped into the air when triggered, erupting in a vicious explosion just about a meter off the ground. This unleashed a storm of deadly shrapnel, cutting through anything unfortunate enough to be nearby. Crafted by Germany in the 1930s, the S-mine was a sinister anti-personnel weapon designed to wreak havoc among unprotected soldiers in open areas. Two versions, SMI-35 and SMI-44, were born, each with minor differences. This deadly innovation became a cornerstone of the Third Reich's defense strategy, producing over 1.93 million units by the time production ceased in 1945. With devastating efficiency, these mines turned the tide of battles, inflicting heavy losses on those who dared to advance. French soldiers encountered their deadly power during the Saar offensive in 1939, forcing a withdrawal and earning the mine the eerie nickname, the Silent Soldier. This lethal legacy echoed across nations, inspiring imitations and influencing the course of history itself. However, the next World War II trap is far more dangerous, as it can take any unexpected form. Booby trap. Imagine a trap that hides its treachery until it's too late. A booby trap. These traps could be deadly, designed to harm the unsuspecting or cunningly set to reveal an enemy's position. Explosives often played a role, but not always. Booby traps can blur with conventional landmines, making their activation a surprise to victims. Their designs vary wildly, with triggers often hidden. Some use everyday objects like grenades or shells, adapted for their sinister purpose. Crafty armies even had specialized triggers for booby traps, designed to exploit human tendencies like curiosity or habit. In the dark days of the war, even seemingly harmless items became instruments of death. Imagine explosives concealed in thermos flasks, motor oil cans, and even chunks of coal. But the shock doesn't end there. Picture this: a devious chocolate bar rigged to explode when a piece was broken off. A sinister attempt to target Winston Churchill, exploiting his sweet tooth for a deadly plot. Punji sticks. These sharp stakes were strategically positioned where enemy troops were likely to tread. Cunningly hidden beneath foliage or disguised among natural surroundings, these traps were a grim testament to the art of surprise warfare. Imagine a pit cunningly camouflaged, edges lined with punji sticks pointing downward. A dangerous arrangement. A single step into the pit could ensnare a soldier, causing irreparable harm. Escaping such a trap wasn't a simple task. It demanded time and careful effort. The soldier's plight could immobilize their unit for an extended period, a tactic of delay and disruption. But the design didn't stop at physical harm. Some punji sticks were coated in poison derived from plants, animal venom, and even human waste. The consequence? If the wound itself weren't lethal, infection or poisoning would set in, incapacitating the victim. The Japanese army used this gruesome warfare strategy in World War II to incapacitate rather than kill. The punji stick's design was a web of pain, intended to halt the enemy's advance, leaving them wounded and vulnerable, their progress hindered. Trapping only military personnel was not enough for World War II strategists. They wanted to trap the war machines as well. This led to the invention of the next trap: tank traps. Tank traps, or Czech hedgehogs, a name that carries echoes of Czechoslovakia, the place of its origin. These metal constructs resembled giant knuckle bones strategically positioned to halt tanks and vehicles in their tracks. Ingeniously designed, they remained steadfast even when flipped over by nearby explosions. These tank traps were first employed along the Czech-German border as part of an elaborate, albeit unfinished, defense system. Built from reinforced concrete and later metal, they sported a shape designed to thwart tanks while offering minimal cover for attacking infantry. But it's on the mechanized battlefield that their prowess shines. During World War II, the Soviet Union widely adopted Czech hedgehogs for anti-tank defense, crafting them from metal or wood, including railroad ties. They excelled in urban combat, blocking streets. These symbolized defense at all costs in the USSR. A memorial to Moscow defenders along the M10 highway in 1966 features 3 giant Czech hedgehogs. As the battlefield evolved with ingenious tank traps that defied even the most determined tanks, a different kind of warfare emerged, one of deception and artful disguise. Camouflage and deception. In warfare, a deceptive operation mimics a real assault, fooling the enemy into thinking fake hostilities are genuine. It creates false danger in one area, weakening the enemy's strategic or tactical position. In the chaos of war, split-second choices can mean life or death, making any advantage crucial. Camouflage tactics were vital, often hiding military assets with mottled paint, nets, foliage, and disguises. World War II saw widespread use of camouflage, with vehicles painted in earthy tones and soldiers trained in camouflage basics. Decoys and dummies played a pivotal role. Airfields and factories were concealed to thwart aerial attacks, while false targets diverted enemy bombers. In the Second Battle of El Alamein, British commander Bernard L. Montgomery employed dummies and a feint to outwit German commander Erwin Rommel. He kept the enemy guessing by faking an attack in one sector while moving his forces elsewhere. This ruse proved decisive, leading to a British victory. Camouflage and deception is still part of modern warfare, but it's not as dangerous as the next World War II trap we uncovered. Roadside bombs. Roadside bombs, also known as improvised explosive device, IEDs, is a type of bomb crafted and used outside regular military operations. It's often made by attaching conventional explosives like artillery shells to a triggering mechanism. They are frequently seen as roadside bombs or homemade explosives. These devices are created using chemicals meant to harm, kill, or incapacitate people or vehicles. Sometimes they're used to cause confusion or delay, making it easier for another kind of attack to happen. Roadside bombs can be activated remotely through triggers like infrared or magnets, pressure, or tripwires. One remarkable historical instance of roadside bombs use was the Belarusian Rail War in World War II. Guerrillas used command-detonated and delayed fuse IEDs to derail German trains. Another method involved boats filled with explosives to attack ships and water-connected areas. The Japanese Shinyo suicide boats from World War II were packed with explosives aimed at ramming Allied ships. Additionally, odd ideas like the anti-tank dog and bat bomb were developed during World War II. As the deadly history of roadside bombs reveals the devastating potential of unconventional warfare, a shift in tactics brings us to another pivotal chapter in military strategy: Trench warfare. Trench warfare involves soldiers holding lines of fortified trenches, protecting from enemy fire and artillery. This strategy is famously connected with World War I, particularly on the Western Front. The lessons from trench warfare in World War I led the French to build the Maginot Line in the years before World War II. This defensive marvel was unlike any previous trench system. It stretched along the Franco-German border, boasting concrete, iron, steel fortresses, bunkers, and more. The Maginot Line featured a sophisticated network of tunnels, barracks, and even its own telephone system and railways. French military experts believed it would deter German aggression by stalling any invasion, giving France time to mobilize and counterattack. Where trenches required the coordination of entire battalions, the final World War II trap, in stark contrast, could be orchestrated by a single individual, inflicting devastating casualties. Sniper traps. Sniper traps were a testament to the art of deception and patience. Like ghosts in the shadows, snipers hid themselves strategically, waiting with bated breath for their unsuspecting prey to fall into their carefully woven web. The traps were simple yet ingenious. A flicker of movement, a glint of light, and a deadly shot rang out, turning the battlefield into a deadly chessboard where each move was dangerous. These traps were not only tools of destruction, but also psychological warfare, leaving soldiers on edge, never knowing when the next lethal shot would pierce the air. Amidst the grim battleground of the Battle of Stalingrad, the Soviet snipers rose to prominence, their skills honed by the crucible of war. One figure stood above the rest, etching his name into history, the renowned World War II sniper Vasily Zaitsev. His presence cast a shadow of uncertainty upon the enemy, his shots echoing through the city's ruins, a constant reminder of the unseen danger. In the brutal theater of war, Vasily Zaitsev emerged as a symbol of resistance and an embodiment of the sniper's traps. This is Pastflix,